emphasis on cutting-edge domain knowledge and benchmarking with world-class businesses.
BidTech. How difficult it is to be a sexual educator in India, and what are the kind of stigma that you face from society or the challenges?
It is difficult because we're conditioned as a culture, as a country, we're conditioned to not talk about things that make people uncomfortable. We're conditioned to not talk about sex, about even our bodies. If you look at things as simple as when there are kids where they're small, people don't even teach them the parts of the names of their private parts. I mean, you're not allowed to even say things like penis and vagina without someone screaming at you, saying that you're being very ill-mannered. But all of this stigma and silence, it builds up. And it builds up to so many things where children or even adults find it difficult to talk about abuse, find it difficult to talk about their sexuality, what they want, what they don't want. And there is no consistent background education on consent, which becomes so much more relevant when you're talking about rape and abuse and just parenting in general, the way you bring up kids. So it is difficult, but it's not impossible anymore. There have been people doing this for, much, much longer than I am. I have been doing it, and I've just started fairly recently, 3 years ago. So, but with social media, I think it has given you a certain kind of power when you can put your voice across. And there is always going to be somebody who's going to be willing to listen, and people will reach out to you and ask you to, do a workshop for you, for us, or do like a panel discussion for us. That's how it's organically developed with Candidly. That's my initiative with my co-founder, Amita Malhotra. So yeah, it's not impossible. It is difficult, yes. And you get, a lot of awkward things get thrown at you. Like, okay, so do you talk about sex or do you talk about the Kama Sutra and all sorts of, especially if you're a woman, it's a little tricky to negotiate. But it's okay. I think I take it as an adventure, sort of. It gives me a lot of jokes to tell people later on, so it's all right.
So how has been the 3 years journey of Candidly? How has been the change that you might have encountered around you?
Candidly is recent. We only started in December. Okay. So before that, I'd been working on my own and with another organization, Ed3D in Agra. So the way it evolved was very, very organic. So me and Amita Malhotra have been friends for 17 years from college. And we always, talked about all these issues, but never really, got around to doing something about it. So one of us decided to do up a course, with the other suggested, and that's how this came about. Okay, so let's write about this, let's work on this, develop more content, do more workshops in Delhi, around Delhi. So it's not like कोई ऐसा पहाड़ नहीं उखाड़ लिया हमने अभी. So अभी we just very, very new, very nascent. But yes, there have been personal stories of people reaching out to us and telling us, okay, so because you talked about this, we will be able to deal with this in a better way. Or because, I see this now, especially with parents, and you see, open any newspapers and you see how paranoid it must make parents to look at stuff like abuse or how do I protect my children. So what we're trying to do is just shift the focus from all the negativity to what can you do to make things better. That is what Candidly is about, to just focus away from the fear and the shame and the guilt and focus on what can you do to make things better as a parent. If you're talking about sexuality, abuse, gender, media, even a lot of our work is around media and managing it with children. It's become a menace. So that, and mental illness and all of it. So yeah, that's what we're about.
So long before Me Too campaign is a very recent fad. But long before that, you have been speaking about the kind of treatment, the abuse that you have faced. So what do you say, like the people who hide those kind of things? So what do you suggest to them? Why is it necessary to share your stories, to come forward?
Yeah, see, the first step towards healing, any sort of healing, if you have a disease, if you've had an accident, if you're going through a bad patch in a relationship, if you've gone through something like abuse, if you have a mental illness, is accepting that there was something that happened to you and that it shook you up in many, many ways. It takes a long time for something, specifically talking about abuse. Sometimes it takes years for the child to even realize that something like this happened. Because, when you have that vocabulary and that imagination is when you realize, okay, that's what it was when I was 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, And sometimes that stage never arises because we're just so conditioned to keep quiet about it and bear it. So the first thing I tell everybody is, if I'm talking to parents, I say, okay, watch out for signs and signals. Pay attention to what your children are feeling. Are they changing? And when I talk to grown-ups, I say, look inside yourself first. Assess if there's something that is fundamentally wrong. Are you uncomfortable about something? Is something distressing you? Address that issue first, and depending upon how severe your suffering is, seek help, whatever help is. If you want to talk about it, if you want to get, you know, therapy or whatever, you want to do group therapy, or simply, get involved in activities that will help you heal. Get in touch with people like that. So yeah, it's very important because it has far-reaching effects well into adulthood. It can affect relationships. It can affect your own sense of yourself. It can affect the way you view sexuality or your interpersonal relationships, intimacy issues, work, career. All of it can be affected.
In recent times, we have seen there has been a surge into the exploitation of school children, particularly in the schools as well. So they aren't even safe into the premises. So what do you suggest to the parents or the teachers?
See, the first thing, there has not been a surge in incidents, there has been a surge in reporting.
Okay.
Yeah, because earlier even reporting this wasn't acceptable. Now it's acceptable, so now you got people talking about it. If you even talk to people from your parent generations, they will tell you stuff that happened to them or they know happened to something else. And lots of people don't talk about things that they did because, unfortunately, 70% of abusers are juveniles themselves. They're school children themselves, and they end up doing things that they shouldn't be doing because there is no awareness about how to go about, exploring things. They just think it's okay for them to do that. So yeah, it's and the one thing that parents can do is come together, especially when you're talking about schools, like you said, to come together and talk to school administrations about what is it that you can do, not in a threatening way, because that is not how collaborations can work between parents and school administrations, but just sit together with the administration and say, what can I do that can make my child safer? The first thing that you can do, preventive measures. Make sure that there is a vetting of whatever staff at whatever level you're bringing in, and also that there are abuse awareness and sexuality awareness education and gender awareness workshops going on at all ages in an age-appropriate way, and also being conducted at the same time with all levels of staff, be it teachers, be it bus drivers, conductors, cleaners, in whatever way that they will understand. Make them understand that this is not okay. And encourage reporting, enable kids to feel empowered within themselves to be able to say, okay, this is what happened to me. And then if something like this happens, instead of going into, recently the whole Ryan International, it was, the way it was handled by the media, the way it was handled by school authorities was shameful, and it's horrifying. So the way forward is to try and collaborate at a more empathetic level instead of saying tum galat ho ya tumhari wajah se. Just the focus should be on the child. That is priority. The child is priority.
Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much.